Jana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So continuing on, text 23. Drishta maya divi vibho akila dhishnyapanam Ayushriyo vibhava ichchati yan janoyam Yesmat pitu kupitaha sa vijrumbha bhruhu Vishpurjitena lulita satutena rastaha Drishta maya divi vibho akila dhishnapanam Ayushriyo vibhava ichchati yanjano yam Yesmat pitu kupitaha sa vijrumbha bhru Vispurjitena lulita satute nirastaha. दृष्टा मया दिवि विभो अखिलधिष्ण्यपाना यस्मत्पितुः कुपितः स विजृम्भितभ्रू विस्फूर्जितेन लुलिता स तु ते निरस्तः. Drishtaः have been seen practically. Maya, by me. Divi, in the higher planetary systems. Vibho, O Lord. Akhila, all. Dhishnapanam, of the chiefs of different states or planets. Ayuhu, the duration of life. Shriyaha, the opulences. Vibhavaha, glories, influence. Ichhati, desire. Yan, all of which. Janaha ayam, these people in general. Ye, all of which, duration of life, opulence, etc. Asmat pituhu, of our father, Hiranyakashipu. Kupitahasa, by his critical laughing when angry. Vijrumbhita, being expanded. Bhru, of the eyebrows. Vispurjitena, simply by the feature. Lulitaha, pulled down or finished. Saha, he, my father. Tu, but. Te, by you. Nirastaha, completely vanquished. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear Lord, people in general want to be elevated to the higher planetary systems for a long duration of life, opulence and enjoyment. But I have seen all of these through the activities of my father. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my father, who was so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. Purport. Within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material opulence, longevity, and influence. We have actual experience that even on this planet, there have been many great politicians and military commanders like Napoleon, Hitler, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Gandhi. But as soon as their lives were finished, their popularity, influence, and everything else were finished. Also, Prahlad Maharaj formally gathered the same experience by seeing the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his great father. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not give any importance to anything in this material world. No one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnava can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. At any time, such things may be vanquished. And who can vanquish them? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should conclusively understand that no one is greater than the Supreme Great. Since the Supreme Great demands Sarvadharman Bharityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, every intelligent man must agree to this proposal. One must surrender unto the Lord to be saved from the wheel of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। It's Monday morning. It's the toughest day to give class, and it's also the toughest day to be sitting in class, because it's the day after Sunday and it's not so easy. So we'll see how to not make the already difficult condition more difficult. Okay. So in the purport, Prabhupada begins with, within this material world, one should understand by practical experience the value of material opulence, longevity, and influence. The statement can be understood two different ways, the wrong way and the right way. The wrong way is to look at people who have material opulence, longevity, and influence and think, I would like that. Because look at them. They drive in this fancy car. They have so much money. They live in the penthouse suite of such and such hotel. Or look at how many people they can influence. Here he gives the example of all these so-called great leaders. And look at how much influence they have on the world. Wow, I want to be rich and famous. Because when we're rich and famous, everyone wants to talk about us. If you're poor and no one knows about it, what's the point? I haven't made it in life. So that's one way of looking at it. The real way, the reason Prabhupada writes it, and Prahlad Maharaj is saying it, that's the last line. Lulita satute nirastaha. Lulita means pulled down in a moment like that. So it may be that somebody is very, very opulent. They may have a long life, and they may have a lot of influence on someone, or people in general. But there is one thing that changes everything for them. That is death. And there's a saying, all these great persons, they believed somewhere deep within themselves that they were indispensable. So it's described, or there's a saying, that the graveyard is full of indispensable people, which means death comes to everyone. However powerful one may be, however influential one may be, it doesn't matter however rich they may be, everyone has got to die. And when they die, it ends. So Prabhupada is asking us that we should, with practical experience, we should look around. Wow, look at all these great persons, not there anymore, killed. Oh, such and such was the President of the United States, powerful guy, murdered by someone. Such and such was someone else, rendered completely ineffective today. What's his name? Muhammad Ali. He was so swift and so agile, and today, poor fellow can't move, etc. So it doesn't matter. One should see with practical experience. In the 11th canto, Krishna describes to Uddhava that one should understand the reality of this world by four ways. One is here, by looking and seeing, where are all these great persons? They're dying. Sometimes they die in a very dishonorable way. What's coming to mind is, let's say, Elvis, right? Such a famous guy. People loved him, and wherever he would go, people would throng to see him. But how did he die? Overdose of medication, suicide, whatever. Overdose. It's such a dishonorable way to go away, etc. So one should look from practical experience. The second, he says, is one should hear from higher authority, scripture and guru and Vaishnava, that the world, what it looks like, what's that saying? All that sizzles is not, we don't use the word, but the gold is one that dazzles, but there's nothing behind the dazzle. So one should look beyond, wow, they're so influential, they're so powerful, but everyone's going to die. And there's two more ways which I can't recall right now. One should learn from tradition. He said one should learn from tradition. From generation to generation it should be passed on that, hey buddy, there is a real purpose to life, and make sure you get to that real purpose. So it's described that a lot of persons, they are taught these lessons of life at the crematorium. Lord Shiva, because he's the personality who exemplifies this, it said that he doesn't put on any clothes, because it's not about opulence and grand looking and fashionable. Lord Shiva is not into fashion. He smears his body with ash. The ash is a reminder that that's what the body is going to become. And it's described that he sits there at the crematorium. So in America, crematoriums are very fashionable, funeral homes. You can't tell the difference between someone's house and a funeral home. In India, you can. And some of them are so, I guess, not fancy that they burn the bodies in the open. They have a pile of wood, they put the body on that pyre, they light it, and for everyone to see. So it's described, in America they're called the pallbearers, right? The four folks who carry the casket. So the pallbearers, they take the body and put the body on the wooden pile, and they light it, and all the relatives and friends are supposed to stand there seeing it. And the reason they go to see, of course, they want to say bye to their friend or relative, but more importantly is that they get to see, oh, my number's coming up too. Anytime. I just don't know where I'm in the line, but my turn. And exactly that's what's going to happen to my body. It's going to be thrown on a pile of wood and burnt or buried or whatever. So that's where it's heading. And before that moment comes, what is it that I'm doing with my life? That's what is supposed to awaken. So here Prabhupada is telling us, look around from practical example and see that these are not the things to pursue. Tomorrow's verse is going to tell Nrsingadev, I don't want these things in the second line. Ayuhu, this is long life. Most people pray for long life. Please let me have a long life, free of disease. Or they pray for Shriya, opulence. Let me be alive, but also rich. Or let me not have any difficulty in terms of poverty or not scarcity of anything. And he says, etc. Vibhava, glories, influence. Let my glories be known to people. Let me have some influence in this world. And so he's saying, my dear Nrsingadev, Drushta Maya, I see around me. He says, Divi Akhila Dishnapanam. All of these personalities who are the great rulers of kingdoms and planets and whole big kingdoms. These greats, they're very, very amazing persons. Okay? And people in general want to be like them. It says, Ichchati yan jano ayam. Jano ayam means these people. So it says, Ichchati. Everyone desires to be like these opulent, powerful demigods. In fact, I saw that my father, Asmat Pitu means our father. Asmat Pitu, he was so powerful, he was greater than all these demigods put together. And what was his power? Kupita hasa. That he would laugh sarcastically at them. Like, who are you guys? This is the demigod who controls all of the water in the universe, the demigod who controls rain in the universe, the demigod who controls light and air. These are not ordinary persons. Very powerful. But Hiranyakashipu's Kupita Hasa, the sarcastic laughter at them was like, you're nothing. And Vijrumbhita Bhru. Vijrumbhita means released, or here Prabhupada says being expanded. Vijrumbhita Bhru, when his eyebrows would expand like this, they would shudder because he would glare at them angrily. Even great personalities were like, oh, you don't want to mess with Hiranyakashipu. And he says, but tu, in the last line there's a tu, but with all this power, with all this arrogance, with all this might, Lulita, simply in one moment, Nrsingadev, Hiranyakashipu was finished by you. Lulita nirastaha. Nirasta means fully vanquished. So it doesn't take too long for a person to die. It can happen any moment. And the issue is that a person is joyfully living the high life, as they say. And what can happen at any moment? Who knows? I think last year, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was here, and he was narrating this anecdote that happened in his life that stuck with me. He said when he was the young, wandering, aspiring spiritualist looking for the answers. He says that he was sitting by a lake and just meditating on the lake and the surrounding. Everything looked very serene, placid. Wow, very nice. And he said there was an eagle or a hawk in the sky just circling. It looked very nice. And in this scenario, suddenly the eagle did a nosedive and went into the water. There was a little skirmish for about a few seconds, and he flew out with a big fish in his claws. And so Maharaj was saying that a millisecond before the eagle plunged into the water, that fish was happily swimming with his family. That fish was enjoying the company of other fish and eating whatever is in the water, swimming. It was a beautiful day, whatever. Little did he know that 1 millisecond later, there's the claws of death right there that grabbed him and immediately broke away all his happiness, all his joy. Yes. And that's it. Death came at that instant. So he was sharing the realization that he had from it. He says two realizations. One, that one may be going about happy, joyful, wow, this is the best life. Any moment that can be taken away. That can be taken away. As quickly as the blink of an eye, it can end. So that was the realization. And the other realization was, he shared, that fish was near the surface of the water. Had the fish been deep, 20 feet or something, the guy was safe. So he was sharing that when we are near the surface, that means our Krishna consciousness has not gone deep. It is superficial, something. We get along. We get by. We somehow move the beads. 16 move from this end of the string to that end of the string. Or we just get along. We get by. We don't really deeply consider the value of our practices. It's just something happens. It's just we get along. We get by. That's right. We get by. He said then we are vulnerable to such situations. So the idea is to go deeper. So in that depth of Krishna consciousness, one feels more secure. That's the verse here, in one sense. He says, I've seen this. And Nrsingadev, I don't want to be blessed in being like this. Power, influence, and strength, because this will go away. I need the real essence. And the real essence is coming up in the next verse. He says, Nija Bhritya Parshvam. Please hand me over to your devotee, and he will train me in being a devotee of you, of your Lordship. If there's essence to life, if there's purpose to life, then let me be a devotee. This is the purpose. Please, let me be a devotee. Whether I have a long life or a short life, whether I have money or no money, whether I have facilities or no facilities, whether I have skills or no skills, please let me be a genuine, deep devotee. This is my only aspiration. Everything else goes away. In a flash, it goes away. It's not worth it, Nrsingadev. It's not worth it. Let me not pursue it. Nice realization, no? It can go away like that. So, Prabhupada's writing, no one can maintain his body or material achievements forever. A Vaishnava can understand that nothing within this material world, not even that which is powerful, opulent, or influential, can endure. So, two verses that exemplify this. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives us this message right in the beginning. He doesn't waste time. Right? The second chapter, text number 12 is when he begins speaking. So 12, he says, all these kings, you and I, are eternal individual beings. And we shall remain to be like this. 13, what you're seeing is just the body. And the body goes through transformations, but the soul remains and will take on another body. A person who can see these transformations clearly is not disturbed. Next verse, 14. It says, while you're developing that spiritual vision of things, understand that there is happiness and distress, and will come and go like the seasons. So learn to tolerate it. Because that's how the material world is. You cannot change it. So learn to tolerate it. Next verse. If you can do this, Arjuna, if you can tolerate happiness and distress, what you like, what you don't like, if you can tolerate it, you're a candidate for liberation. So amrutatvaya kalpate. In the very next verse, he gives that fantastic principle. That which is spiritual endures. That which is material has no endurance. And the great thinkers and seers have seen these side by side. So when you see them side by side, you see that one is eternal, the other is temporary. One has value, the other doesn't have value. And depending upon where you invest your consciousness, you'll get a different result. If you invest your consciousness in that which doesn't endure, then it's going to go away. It's a bank in which you put money, and the bank is telling you, please put your money, we will shut down, and we won't tell you when we will shut down. So please continue investing. Would you put our money in that? No. And the other is invest for eternity. Nasate vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Ubhayorapi drushtvantaha. Ubhayorapi means side by side. We should look at things side by side. Oh, look at this material world. Look at devotional life side by side. And see which has endurance and which will go away. Whatever happens, our connection with Krishna, no one can influence that. The time cannot influence it. The demigods cannot influence it. The circumstances cannot influence it. The weather cannot influence it. Nothing. It always is preserved. Anything else? Gone. In a flash. Gone. Okay, that's pretty much it. Any comments? Oh, the second verse, sorry. One was the Bhagavad Gita verse, and the second verse is Narada Muni's. So one thing we can appreciate, if you study side by side, the 5th and 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva, and you study Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, you'll find a common thread. Actually, because he's Narada's disciple, so what he's speaking is what Narada Muni has spoken. The words are different, but the principles are the same. So Narada Muni says that one should not aspire in life for anything that is available in the higher planetary systems or in the lower planetary systems. Because a person who's Kovida means one who's thoughtful and knowledgeable, he sees the futility in pursuing that which is temporary, and therefore should commit one's life to pursuing that which is eternal. So those are the verses. Same principle being spoken here. In this case, he's saying, I'm seeing with practical vision. I'm seeing. And Prabhupada is asking us, one should understand this world this way. So we hear here, and when we go out, we have friends, relatives, people of the world, every day some great person, so-called great person, is either dying or being pulled down from glory. So that's the nature of this material world. Okay, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for your class. This subject matter reminded me of when I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, and I thought every one of the TV show was happy. And then there was one show that came on called E! True Hollywood Story, where it was the true behind the scenes of all the TV shows, and everyone hated each other. So I always, found that interesting. I was shocked. But my question is basically is that in the Gita, Krishna says that infamy is worse than death to Arjuna. And from our practical experience, it feels like that if somebody talks about us or some gossip going on, even though we may die tomorrow and somebody say, death personified may come and tell us you're gonna die tomorrow, we're like, death can wait, I have to deal with this gossip. So my question is, it seems like kind of Krishna kind of almost verifies like the material conception of life that shouldn't we care more about death than, infamy? So it seems like Arjuna, Krishna's kind of affirming that it seems like misconception. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, there is death and then there is death. So one death in case of Kshatriyas, one death is the physical death, actually dying on the battlefield. And the other, which is worse than that, is to continue living in shame and embarrassment. So they'd rather die because it ends. They don't have to live to see and experience the embarrassment. So they say that infamy is worse than death because they have to live to see it and experience it. And even Krishna is inciting in Arjuna, what will people say about you? They will say you were a coward, you ran away from the battlefield, Arjun, you ran away. And jabbing him, what will people say about you? You're a coward. For Arjuna to be called a coward is very insulting. Okay, anything else? All right. I wish I could take a picture from here. So interesting. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.